Christmas Presents, Part 2, a Miraculous Ladybug Fanfiction. If you have not heard the previous part of this story, you can find a link to it in the description box below. A special thanks goes out to Grace and Ire for allowing the use of her art in this video. You can find a link to her Tumblr account in the description box below. "These aren't for you, Tiki," Marinette said, watching her friend eyeing up the cookies cooling on the counter.
"Did you make them for the bakery?"
Tiki asked, surprised at her rejection. "No, they're for Cat Noir."
"Cat Noir? Why?"
"A belated Christmas present, I suppose."
"But you already gave him the scarf."
"Yeah, but he thought it was from Marinette, his friend, not Ladybug, his partner."
"You're having trouble admitting it, aren't you?"
"Admitting what?"
"You care about him more than you let on."
"He's..." Marinette began, feeling a blush creep up her neck. "He's my partner. Of course I care about him. He's just too skinny. He needs to eat more."
"Can I help you wrap them?"
"Sure thing, but I think I'm just going to cover the plate with plastic wrap."
"You can do better than that."
"He's a dumb cat. He'll be happy to get a present at all."
"Marinette, don't be like that. Here."
Tiki pulled a box from the top shelf.
"This should do."
"Okay," Marinette laughed, filling the box and closing the top. "Off to Notre Dame, then. Tiki, spots on!" It was a little colder than usual, but Ladybug didn't mind. Her suit was the best jacket ever. It didn't take more than 20 minutes of her sitting on the roof of Notre Dame in broad daylight for the Ladybug to update her location. Sure enough, 10 minutes after that, she heard Cat Noir plop down behind her. "My lady, what are you doing here?" She turned around to hand him the present and was surprised at his appearance. He was wearing the scarf. "Cat, that scarf," she began. "Do you like it? I got it from a friend," he grinned, standing an odd distance away from her. "A friend?" "Are you jealous, Bugaboo?" She laughed to hide her smile. "Not at all, kitty. Here, I have a present for you." His expression turned into one of shock as the smile fell off his face and muttered something she couldn't make out. "I didn't get anything for you. What is it?" "You're extra skinny, so I baked you some cookies," she said, stepping towards him. "For me? My lady, you shouldn't have," he exclaimed, backing away as she approached him. "Cat? What's wrong?" "Thank you, Ladybug. I've been craving some sweets lately." "I'm glad you like them," she said, feeling an odd tension in the air. He wasn't normally like this. What happened to him? Why wasn't he making eye contact with her? He knows. The thought came as quickly as the fear that came with it. He hadn't just seen Marinette. Cat Noir had seen Ladybug turn into Marinette. That's why he was wearing the scarf, right? He wanted to gauge her reaction. Did that mean he was okay with Marinette being Ladybug? If so, why did he look so anxious to leave, despite him coming to her? The questions continued to soar as the lump in her throat rose and she, for the first time, lost her self-control. "Hey, Cat?" "Yes, Ladybug?" "Who are you?" She watched as his eyes grew in surprise and a blush spread out from under his mask. You mean, like, my civilian self? You already know who I am, don't you? She began, feeling her legs shake beneath her. She didn't think that the reveal would be so scary. Yes. And? And what? And? Are you okay with it? She asked, her voice just barely above a whisper. She had expected a different response than the one he gave her. A somber yes or no, or even just plain silence. Instead, to her surprise, he burst out laughing. He began. I couldn't be happier, Marinette. Oh. I mean, yeah, I didn't know what face to wear when I saw you this morning at school, but that's a minor detail. At school? Her eyes widened in surprise. They were classmates? Yeah, I mean, you sit behind me in class. You're... She gasped. Nino? No. Cat Noir sighed, obviously a bit hurt at her answer. Then you're... Her voice trailed off, realizing the only possible answer. Yes? No. No? No! She exclaimed, feeling her face grow red. Adrien was Cat Noir, and in that moment she remembered every intimate thing they had ever done together, bundled with every embarrassing moment of her superheroine career. She didn't need to look up to see the hurt on his face. For all he knew, she was rejecting his existence, even though that couldn't be farther from the truth. I'm sorry, she heard him whisper. Her heart broke as she heard his reply, and her doubts about herself turned to anger. He was sorry? The nicest guy she knew was apologizing for who he was? No, absolutely not. On the list of things that simply aren't okay, Adrien Agreste having self-doubts was at the top of it, followed by Cat Noir being hurt. Ironically, she had caused both of those things to happen in the same moment. Perhaps it was the anxiety of hurting him accidentally, or maybe it was the anger that flared up in her belly that gave her the confidence to do so. But Ladybug opened her mouth, and out fell the secret she had been protecting with all her heart. I love you, Adrien. She shyly looked up to see Cat Noir turning bright red, his face covered by his hands in embarrassment. She took a brave step forward and moved his arm aside to look at his face. She knew that without their masks on, she wouldn't have the courage to do so, but she slipped her arms around his neck and gave him a peck on the cheek. Cat Noir was no longer her partner, just like Adrien Agreste was no longer just a classmate or her high school crush. Their relationship had evolved past all of those things in an instant, and, even though it wasn't official, calling him her boyfriend didn't quite seem like enough. Merry Christmas, my most precious person, she whispered. Thank you so much for listening. This was a Miraculous Ladybug Fanfiction. You can check out the playlist below for more. I'll catch you next time.